Yep.
All right, sounds good. Welcome everyone to week 3 of the weekly takeaway.
Yep.
Yep, week 3. This is the third edition of the show, where we're discussing everything that's happened in the last week in basketball. And I'm to start things off, I guess. I'm Chris Novak, joined alongside my co-manager here, Rob O'Neill. Sorry for the awkward transition. Rob, of course, drinking a coffee, as he so often does during these hangouts and podcasts and whatnot.
You got gimmicks on here.
Yep, we do. My hat gimmick continues on. Wearing a Dodgers hat. I suppose it plays along with the rumors about Yasiel Puig possibly going to the Yankees, which is interesting, I guess. I'm not sure what to really make of that.
Hot stove.
Yeah, it's turning up a little bit. A little confused about Jordan Zimmerman to the Tigers. Doesn't make a whole lot of team-oriented sense. Probably from a financial standpoint, they're probably the highest bidders, so I don't necessarily blame them for that.
Yep.
Definitely thought he would be going to the team that is on Rob's shirt here.
Yeah, I wanted him since like the middle of 2014. So
it certainly would have made geographical sense since he's a Wisconsin native. Even the Brewers would have made geographical sense since he's from that neck of the woods. But
yeah.
Anyways, sliding away here, I suppose we'll start off with the first edition of the Big East Coast Bias Player of the Week award that was just issued out. The winner is Providence's Chris Dunn, who put on a terrific performance at the Wooden Legacy event in Fullerton in Anaheim, California. Providence going 2-1 in that event, becoming the runner-up to the Michigan State Spartans, who will likely be either – I would think they'd probably be either one or two in the polls this week, even though Kentucky certainly did well for themselves. But
yeah, I didn't vote Chris Dunn. I voted for Ben Bentel. But I can definitely see why people voted for Chris Dunn because, that game against Arizona, he took over.
Yeah.
I think Bentel might have had a better weekend, but, again, I see why people pick Chris Dunn. I see why people Jeffrey Grosel finished second.
Grosel had a pretty good tournament in Las Vegas. Did well for himself in Creighton's ensuing matchup this past week.
I think Kellen Dunham might have gotten hurt by only playing one game this week because he had 32 points.
I agree with that. I was a little surprised that Dunham didn't receive more votes, but like you said, I think he got hurt by the fact that he's only played one game. That's been kind of, I wouldn't say biting Butler, but the fact that Dunham's been a really good player, but Butler just seems to be pasting every team that they play, practically, and he's not playing for very long, but he's putting up very good numbers.
Yeah, but we'll talk about this later. Butler has maybe the best game of the week coming up.
I would say maybe one or two, depending on how you feel about that matchup coming up this weekend in Washington, D.C.
But yeah, Chris Dunn was our player of the week. Sure. Again, he averaged, 20 points or something over the course of this.
19 points. Shade under 20 points, I should say. About 7 rebounds, almost 2 steals.
And if you want to do it this way, Providence looked like a whole different team yesterday when he picked up his 4th foul and went out for, even if it was just 5 minutes, but once they went on that run.
Yikes. Microphone over there.
No, we good? We good? Better?
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, my mistake. It was 19.3 points, 6.7 assists, not rebounds. 4 rebounds, and 1.7 steals.
Yeah, so he was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got 6 votes though. That's more than second and third place combined.
Yep. It wasn't a unanimous choice.
Nope.
some good options out there. I'm surprised no one on Xavier got any votes. Trevon Blewett certainly did well for himself in the Advocate Invitational. We'll talk about Xavier in a little bit. But, yeah, Dunn is our player of the week. We'll see how that coincides with what the Big East has in store. That news will probably be dropping soon. I know we announced the women's player of the week and freshman of the week recently. So
Yep. Yeah. Also, speaking of not having unanimous choices, this is the first week we didn't have a unanimous number one in the power rankings.
that's correct. If you want to talk about that, since I talked about player of the week.
Yeah. Villanova finished first. Again, kept their spot. Not the team I had number one. And I wasn't actually the only person to not have Villanova number one. I think a couple other people had Xavier at number one, and that's who I had because Xavier just kind of blew away everyone at the Advocare Invitational.
Yeah, X definitely dominated throughout the course of the tournament. I was pretty tempted to put them at number one. I guess I kind of played it safe by putting Villanova there since they needed number one and they've yet to, be challenged or lose. Then again, aside from the two first games of the season, neither has Xavier. Xavier has been pretty dominant in almost every contest. I know they started off slow against Alabama in a really ugly game on Thanksgiving, but they destroyed Dayton yesterday. That game wasn't particularly close ever. Dayton just looked outclassed in almost every facet.
Yeah, and you don't usually see that from Dayton. And I know they don't have their guy from last year that was good. He's out for the whole semester.
Yeah,
because of some issues or whatever. But I think Xavier probably still would have won yesterday. And it was a whole big thing. Oh, USC beat Wichita. Maybe Xavier wouldn't have beat Wichita, but they would have. Wichita didn't have Fred VanVleet this weekend.
Yeah, and I know they lost another one of their players.
Yeah, he got stretchered out. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
He's okay, but
Thankfully.
But no, Xavier was the best team in the field. I mean, and actually someone pointed this out on Twitter. The preview for this was, it looks like they're setting up for a Wichita-Notre Dame final.
Well, Monmouth beat Notre Dame, and Wichita lost to almost every team that they played.
Yeah, didn't they lose all three games?
I know they lost to Iowa, and I know they lost to Alabama. So and they lost to USC. So
yeah.
They might have gone over in that tournament.
Yeah, they're 2-4 right now.
Things are not looking good for the Shockers right now, and that.
No, I mean, they still play UNLV, Utah, and Seton Hall too, so they might have a pretty rough knock. They might have to win the Missouri Valley.
Yeah, and they're certainly going to look better when VanVleet comes back, but right now they are in complete disarray.
Yeah, but those are the power rankings. Villanova 1, Xavier 2, Providence moving up a spot to number 3, unsurprisingly. Butler dropping 2 spots to number 4. That's what happens when you only play one game. I mean, Georgetown staying at 5. Our biggest mover of the week, Marquette, from 9 to 6.
Yeah, Golden Eagles had themselves a very good week. They built up a nice little winning streak. They beat LSU in a close contest at the Barclays Center, followed it up with a win over NC State in overtime, winning the Legends Classic. And then they took care of business against Jackson State yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, that's not something that they've done this year, is just come out and roll teams away at home, and they did yesterday, so.
Yeah, I believe it was Anonymous Eagle who pointed out on their Twitter account that they basically just did what they had to do. They beat a lesser team rather handily.
Creighton dropped a spot.
Despite losing, but I don't think that that's necessarily a product of their performance as much as it was just a product of what everyone else did.
Well, yeah. I mean, they were 3-0 this week. They beat Rutgers. They beat Arizona State, I want to say. That sounds – not Arizona State.
They play Arizona State. They played
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah. And they beat Western Illinois. So, it's not their fault. I mean,
No.
Marquette just had some better wins, so they jumped them.
Exactly, and like I said, I don't think that's necessarily just us disrespecting them or whatever. I think that's just the rest of the conference looking pretty good, and someone's got to be ranked somewhere.
Number 8, perhaps the biggest surprise in the Big East so far, Seton Hall, who looked very good against Georgia.
They did. I didn't get a chance to watch that game, but based on the box score, they were impressive again. The Hall has really, really come on strong at the start of this season. I know they're playing George Washington later this week. That'll be
that's a good test to see where they are.
Absolutely, and I believe that game is on the road as well.
It is. And, you remember a couple weeks ago, Virginia went to George Washington and lost. But, Seton Hall, really, they were able to contain Kenny Gaines, and that's a big part if you want to beat Georgia.
Absolutely. And then 9 and 10, I believe, were St. John's and DePaul.
Yeah. St. John's, they kind of did what we expected in Maui. They played Indiana a lot tougher than we thought after how they played Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you can't really go game by game with St. John's.
No, you can't.
You got to look for improvements through the course of a month.
And they've made improvements, in my opinion.
And, if the All-Big East team came out today, I don't know that Federico Mussini wouldn't be on it.
He would at least be an honorable mention for me.
He's been great.
Absolutely.
So, you start thinking about, next year they'll have Marcus Levette, they'll have Shamori Pons. They're going to have a lot of good guards. And
absolutely,
that's just going to continue to be the theme of the conference. And DePaul was 10th. They salvaged Paradise Jam with a win against Norfolk.
And that was the only game that they played.
Yeah.
All right. Can we shift away here to the coaches poll right now?
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about the coaches poll because I hate the coaches poll.
Okay. But there are so many things going on here right now.
Because the problem with the coaches poll, coaches don't get a chance to watch games.
And neither really do SIDs. But even with that said, okay. Good news, folks. There are 4 teams in the Big East Conference right now in the coaches poll, making up just a shade under 1/5 of the poll. Villanova, Xavier, Providence, and Butler are in the coaches poll. Yep. Villanova is 7th, which I'm fine with.
Yep.
Okay, the teams in front of them are Kentucky, Maryland, Michigan State, Iowa State, Duke, and Kansas in that order. That's fine. I'm totally content with that. They belong in that discussion of the elite teams in college basketball. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma is 8th, North Carolina is 9th, Virginia is 10th.
Yep.
What I have a problem with is where Xavier is slotted. First off, let's go down. Providence is 24th, Butler is 25th. I guess I'm content with that. Providence, they didn't beat Michigan State. They competed with them for quite a while. A little surprised that Miami is at 21st. I know they lost to Northeastern. They're still quite good, but as you said, coaches polls or whatever. Xavier is 18th.
Yeah.
Xavier is 18th in the coaches poll.
Well, because I guess you have to look at it. They were 29th.
They were 29th, but they looked better than Arizona did. Come on.
Well, I would put Oregon over Arizona, too.
So would I. I would put Oregon over Arizona right now. Arizona right now, without Tarczewski and through all the issues that they're going with, they do not belong at 14th in the coach.
Probably put Syracuse over Arizona.
Yeah, I put Syracuse over Arizona. I put Miami over Arizona right now. I put Cincinnati over them. Yep. West Virginia. But that's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but again, also Gonzaga only dropping 1 spot after getting blown out by A&M is.
Yeah, the Arizona thing. That's a case of let's look at the results of how they did because they played on the West Coast and a bunch of late night and early afternoon games on a Sunday, and let's
but at the same time, if you make them drop too far and you want to make neutral site losses this big of a negative, teams are going to stop scheduling them. So it's a double-edged sword.
It's just so silly.
This is,
Providence
well, no, this is why.
completely outclassed them.
No, I agree. But this is why it's not like college football.
Correct. And polls don't really matter in college basketball, but I just think it's silly.
Oh, because all 25 of these teams are going to the tournament. So,
well, I mean, not necessarily.
Okay. Of the 25 that are ranked right now, probably 23 of them are going to the tournament.
Yeah, I just think it's so silly that Xavier 18th. Xavier made a case to be top 15, possibly top 10.
Yeah, but that's what people said about Miami last week too.
I could still say the same thing. Oh, they dropped a game to Northeastern at the buzzer. Okay, that's not terrible. What one loss is really gonna drop them that far? I know the actually the biggest fall 14th after staying at 10. So I guess that's a good thing, but it's just surprising to me that I guess it shouldn't be that surprising to me because preconceived thing of college basketball.
I would just I'd like to see the AP poll.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the AP poll is going to look like as well, and we'll obviously have the polls at the end of the telecast here. So,
for the record, Ken Palm has Xavier 14th.
It's fine.
So, where does he get Providence? Providence.
I believe he has Providence in the 40s.
Yeah.
Which is fine because they started in the 60s, I believe. So
anyway, we should probably talk about the last week at length here.
Yeah, but this type of thing is going to happen Mondays when all these polls and awards come out. So
yeah. Yes. So Monday, you had your Henry Ellenson Ben Simmons matchup, and Ben Simmons looked good.
He did. Simmons looked impressive, as he so often probably will this year. Ellenson played his part as well, maybe to a little bit lesser degree compared to his teammate Luke Fisher, who looked very, very good over the course of the Legends Classic.
You want to know my problem with Ben Simmons, though?
What is your problem with Ben Simmons?
ESPN is going to do exactly what they did with, let's just use Robert Griffin, for example, where they take a perfectly good, likable player and just shove him down our throats, and by the time he's drafted, we're going to be tired of hearing about him. But I don't watch ESPN, so
yeah, that just is what it is. It's what we have to pretty much expect.
But yeah, Simmons looked good, as good as advertised. That was a game we won 2020, right?
I think he went 2020 and 7.
Yeah, you don't see many 2020 games in college basketball.
Not at all, and he played tremendously. I thought he was a little too passive at the end, but
you got to take that shot.
Yeah, but that's just one tiny critique.
Yeah, Ellenson 16-11 in that game, not to be overshadowed by Simmons. Yeah, Ellenson actually leads the Big East in rebounding right now.
Yeah, so there you go.
Again, Luke Fisher, like you mentioned, 19-8. Because this LSU team really doesn't have much size outside of Simmons.
No, they really don't. And I think I recall at Marquette Media Day, Fisher said that he and Ellenson could be the best 4 or 5 in the conference and possibly even the country.
I mean, so far they've been the best in the conference. I don't know if it's really that close.
It's really not that close. I mean, depending on how you feel about a lineup that has, Jalen Reynolds and James Farr out there or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's been the two of them have been excellent together. So
yeah. Let's see. Earlier Monday, St. John's played in Maui. They were kind of outmatched from the jump against Vanderbilt.
I said last week on this telecast that I wouldn't be surprised if Vanderbilt beat them by double digits. They did that and then some.
Yeah.
That game was never close from the jump.
Yeah, no, but whatever.
That's going to happen. Vanderbilt is a Final Four caliber team, in my opinion. So they're terrific.
Yeah, and then Xavier beat Northern Kentucky. We're at the point where we're just not going to talk about Xavier home non-conference games.
Yeah, until they play Cincinnati.
No, but the highlight of that game, Trayvon Blewett, 14-16.
Yeah, Blewett has gotten off to a pretty excellent start. As I said, I'm very surprised that he didn't receive a single vote in the Player of the Week awards because he was awesome the entire week.
I feel like no one's talking about Xavier still. They're 7-0. They just blew away the field at their tournament, and I mean, maybe it's just because I did a story about it over the summer how no one talks about them, but they got 5 guys averaging double figures. They got James Farr with 9.4. They might be better than last year.
It's just like how do you stop a team that's good that has those kinds of numbers? How do you scout?
I mean, honestly, and John Rothstein wrote something about this earlier today, they might be Villanova's biggest test because they're just like Villanova.
Yeah, they are. Because they can kill you in so many ways.
And I'm a little bit angry at the Big East for scheduling Xavier Villanova at noon Eastern on New Year's Eve because
Unfreaking believable.
That should be a bigger game, and they both could be undefeated going into it.
They could be. If anything, there's going to be like 1 or 2 losses between them.
So, I mean, a little upset that wasn't a tip-off game because the tip-off's technically on the 2nd because they didn't want to compete with the college football playoff.
I don't blame them one bit for that because they would get annihilated.
Oh, yeah. No,
and frankly, so would we. But,
Yeah. But no, I mean, I don't know. I just wish that game was going to be – that could be one of the best games of the year.
And it's on at frickin'
Yeah, most people work New Year's Eve. Most people get off New Year's Day, but most people work New Year's Eve.
It's just
that's rough. That's rough scheduling.
Seriously.
Also Monday, DePaul beat Norfolk. As we mentioned, Tommy Hamilton came back from his one game. What are we calling it? Sit down?
Scratch.
Healthy scratch.
Timeout session.
DNPCD. DePaul let Norfolk hang around, but Hamilton had 20 points and a ton of rebounds.
Came off the bench, right?
Yeah. He had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 8 of 8 shooting. So it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Billy Garrett had 22. DePaul really needs to have a game, though, where they get Henry, Garrett, and Hamilton all going at the same time.
Yeah, they really do.
They're doing this thing where they just rely on 2 of them, and that's not great.
Nope. Blue Demons definitely need to get everybody active in that offense.
But I'm glad Dave Lato beat Norfolk State.
Get away some of the demons that he may or may not have internally from that awful loss in Omaha in 2012. I don't like talking.
Monday, I believe there's one more game. Creighton played in Vegas. Creighton played in Vegas. They played Rutgers. It was pretty epic. But Creighton pulled win the second half. Cole Huff, 26 points.
Cole Huff had himself a week. He's another player who I'm surprised. I know Grosel did well, but Huff was terrific in Vegas.
Yeah, and Maurice Watson, who likes us again, had a double-double against Rutgers.
Yeah, Watson's definitely been living up to the hype that a lot of Blue Jays fans had for him going into this year. He's been pretty terrific.
Are we going to
really say
positional rankings going into conference play?
I mean, we can. It's just a lot of tweeners out there. It's
going to redo them in March.
Yeah, maybe redo them in March, revisit them or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Providence played NJIT 2. Chris Dunn almost went quad double on it.
He did. That was one of his best year.
22 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 7 steals. And I've been thinking about this. There was a lot of talk about how Chris Dunn should compete for National Player of the Year. I think he could be National Defensive Player of the Year.
He could. He could, because he does work on both ends like no
I
other.
haven't looked at the steals numbers, but just with the Providence games I've watched, Chris Dunn has to be leading the country in steals.
He might be up there.
He's not. Who is this? Tradeon Hollins from Nebraska, Omaha, 4.5 a game. Wow.
You love Nebraska, Omaha.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe Dunn only has 3.7 a game. He's had like close to double digits in a couple games. Oh, well, he had 0 against Michigan State, so that kind of that throws things in a flux.
Precisely.
But he still probably should get some Defensive Player of the Year love.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely in his conference, at least.
And the thing about Dunn is his shot really hasn't started falling yet.
No, and if he gets that in order.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Tuesday, from what I remember, I don't remember things that happened earlier in the week, was a relatively light day.
Yeah, I believe Tuesday Marquette played.
Well, no, hold on. Let's talk about St. John's first.
Oh, okay, yeah. How they competed with Indiana?
It was like a 4-point game with like 7 minutes to go, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was. That game was a lot closer than a lot of people expected it to be.
And if St. John's beat Indiana, what should they have done with Tom Crean?
They should have left him on the island, which I'm surprised that they didn't, considering how Indiana fared in that tournament.
Oh, man.
Losses to Wake Forest and UNLV.
So, again, what's going to happen when Duke wins the title this year, Coach K retires, Wojo goes back to Duke, and Tom Crean is fired from Indiana? Does Marquette make the call?
It'll be a done deal.
But yeah, St. John's played well against Indiana. That's all you can ask for.
Yep. Which, does that say a lot more about St. John's, or does that say a lot more about Indiana?
No, I feel like maybe we approach St. John's unfairly compared to like DePaul in that they're both bad. But DePaul's got a bunch of older guys. St. John's all freshmen.
Yeah, I mean we figured that was going to happen. But they're competing, and that's now that's about all you can ask for.
I mean, look at Seton Hall for what you can do with just 1 year on campus.
Exactly.
But Marquette and Arizona State actually played a really fun game.
They did, and I'm intrigued for this week at least, and we'll talk about this later. I'm kind of intrigued to see how St. John's fares in the Bronx against Fordham.
Yeah.
Because first of all, it's interesting that they're traveling to Fordham.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But I mean, it's a New York rivalry.
Traveling? Were they just take a subway?
A little BQE action there, going on the Bronx Queens Expressway. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about New York. This game was in Brooklyn. Henry Ellenson got another double-double, 18-11. He had a really nice tournament. Surprised he didn't get any Player of the Week votes.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I guess that'll happen when most of the attention shines on one player, but and recency effect. But we'll see.
Actually, Dwayne Wilson played his best game of the year against Arizona State.
He did, and he didn't have any poor shots.
Yeah, but really a good week for Marquette considering how they started the season.
Yeah, they're building up something nice, and as we noted with the Jackson State win, they just have to keep beating the bad teams in front of them. And
I mean, to be honest with you, there's no reason they shouldn't beat Wisconsin now.
Wisconsin right now, they've got a lot that they need to figure out, and they're on the ropes, ripe for the taking. Obviously, it's very difficult to go into Kohl Center and win, but the Badgers are just feeling the losses of the fact of the 5 players they lost last season. I mean, they lost 2 NBA first-rounders in Decker and Kaminsky. They lost Trayvon Jackson. They lost Due Dukan. They lost Josh Gosser. Yep. I mean, the Badgers are – I figured that they'd be a little bit better than this, but right now they are very sluggish.
But I mean, in fairness, if you're three non-conference losses, Belmont, Iowa, and Wisconsin, those aren't terrible.
No, it's not. But it certainly would do a lot for the program and the team's confidence if they were able to knock off the Badgers in Madison, to say the least.
All right. Hold on here. We got the AP poll. Kentucky's still number one. Somehow Maryland is over Michigan State. Kansas, Iowa State round out the top 5. Villanova is your first Big East team at 8.
Okay.
They stayed put from last week. Xavier goes to 3.
Woo! Proper. Yes, this is good. Arizona dropped to 19th. That's where they should be.
Providence
Why
38.
Why is Wichita State in the polls? Why? Are you kidding me with that?
Oh, man, that's bad.
Are you serious? Why is Wichita State in the poll? Are you kidding me with that crap?
Wichita State over Butler?
Oh, my God. Wichita State over West Virginia, Miami, SMU, Providence, and Louisville. Really? For what?
Yeah.
They're tied for 20th, no less. They're tied for 20th. What are the AP writers? I'm sorry to get on attention. What are the AP writers looking at here? You have to look at them right now. They're not a top 25 team. They're not a top 20 team. They're probably not even a top 40 team right now. Come on.
Wait a couple hours. Gary Parrish will put out poll attacks. And
he's going to light whoever the hell has them as their votes. Jesus. I mean, my God.
I don't know if I'd rank SMU because they're not playing for anything this year.
Say what?
I don't know if I'd rank SMU because they're not playing for anything.
I'm better served at them in this poll than Wichita freaking State. Come on.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it's all fine and dandy from 1 to 19, and then it just totally just drops off Wichita State at 2-4, being tied for 20th with West Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That's a joke. That's a joke. Jesus. I mean, seriously, what are they factoring in? How much better they would be than Van Vliet and everyone else that they've lost right now? Or
yeah, I mean, you can't really do that.
No, you can't. You cannot rank them based on what they could be or would be. What they are right now is not a top 25 team, nor are they a top 20 team. They have no business being in this poll.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
Back to last week.
Jesus Christ. Can't believe that.
Wednesday. Another light day. St. John's took care of business against Chaminade.
They did. Not falling under the same fate as Texas a few years ago.
You know, Chaminade scored 93 points, but
you know, you got to look at the bright side of things. Mussini played well again.
And St. John scored 100 points. 100 is more than 90 points. So
yes.
You score more points than your opponent. Good.
Your mic is still going in and out, by the way.
Hold on. We're going to fix this. Talk about creating a new mask while I get this fixed.
Yeah, so Creighton played UMass in the finals of the MGM's MGM main event. Blue Jays looked impressive.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, and your mic is good. So.
Okay. Yeah. The MGM, what's it called? Men Who Speak Up. Yeah. Yeah. Creighton looked really impressive.
They did. Shot 58% inside, 42% outside, 77.8% at the free throw line. Didn't win the rebounding battles, but were still impressive with assists. Didn't turn the ball over that much at all. 12 turnovers to 14 for UMass, but they scored 1.23 points per possession. UMass only scored 0.96. So
Creighton also had a 60-point second half.
they did. They were potent as all heck during the second half, kind of blew past UMass, who scored 47 in their own right, but it just wasn't enough to keep up with what the Jays were rolling out there. So,
Yep. All right. Then Thursday had some Feast Week tournaments start.
We did.
Start with Alabama Xavier, which we touched on a little bit earlier.
That game was very ugly.
Yeah, that was kind of the theme of the Thursday games.
Yeah, none of the games on Thanksgiving were all that great.
Xavier knocked off Alabama. They ended up winning by 20 after only leading by 3 at the half. Xavier only had 2 guys in double digits in that game, which you don't usually see.
And they still managed to win.
I mean, they destroyed him on the rebound, so.
Yeah, as I've been saying with Xavier, win the rebounding battle, win the game. They've done it every single game this year.
I mean, that was the theme of the weekend for them, though. They just killed them on the boards.
Theme all season.
Yep.
They've literally won the rebounding battle, at least in terms of offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding percentage in every single game that they've played.
Yep.
And as a result, they're one of the top rebounding teams in the country. And they've just been monstrous in that regard.
Villanova-Stanford might have been the worst game I've watched this year.
Ugh.
There was a time when Stanford was shooting like 6%.
Yeah, that was bad.
They finished the game at 26%, but there were a lot of fouls. There were a lot of turnovers. There weren't many people at the Barclays Center.
No.
And Jalen Brunson probably had his best game offensively of the season with 18 points.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing to see what the I know there are people talk about this. A little disappointing to see what the preseason NIT has become.
Yeah.
It was very not. It wasn't really in the spotlight at all.
Yeah.
Barclays, like you said, wasn't really packed at all either. So.
Villanova got out-rebounded 55-35 in this game, but still won by 14 points. I mean, is that an issue going forward? I mean, this game at least, Daniel Treffu was in foul trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's really like their only weaknesses so far is that Ochefu has gotten a little bit of foul trouble in the past few games, but they've still been able to, motor on forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they are against, Oklahoma and Virginia.
Yeah, exactly. And
Villanova also just in love with the three, and, sure. I mean, you got a lot of guards. You're going to shoot threes.
Yeah, their 3-point rate is 51st in the country, but they're not shooting the 3-point ball well, which
no. But also not fair to talk about Villanova without mentioning that they are the best defensive team in the country.
That they are. By adjusted defensive efficiency, they're allowing only 88.9 points per 100 possessions. They're also great in terms of taking the ball away and not allowing a lot in terms of effective field goal percentage at the perimeter or the 2-point or in 2-point shots either. They're a good shot blocking team, good steal team. They're just wearing teams out.
Yeah, I mean, they don't get rebounds, but they wear you down for the entire game. So, I mean, whatever works.
Yeah, exactly.
On Thursday night, Providence and Evansville played a game that wasn't particularly great.
No, that game was sluggish as well. I know Ben Peel went off in that game.
He did? It's the start of his good weekend.
Yeah.
Yep, we got freshman of the week real quick. It is Henry Ellenson.
Unsurprisingly so.
Yeah, I mean, he had a big week.
The only other option really was Jalen Brunson.
I don't think we have player of the week yet. Nope, we do. Chris Dunn.
Well, I guess the Big East agrees with Big East Coast bias. So
Again, I don't love it. But I mean, he played 4 games. I mean, if you play the most games, you're going to have a better chance.
Exactly.
So we'll get that up probably after this.
Yep, whenever this telecast ends, which will probably be within the next 20 or 30 minutes.
Evansville beat Providence, or no, Providence beat Evansville. Friday, Villanova played Georgia Tech. Another ugly game. Another game where they just wore them down.
Yep.
Another game where Villanova got out rebounded. And Daniel Treffu wasn't in foul trouble in this one. He just, it's an okay problem to have in November because you can figure it out.
Exactly.
But Brunson, Josh Hart, both had 13. That's another thing for Villanova. They don't have one guy that's going to go drop 30 on you, but they're like Xavier. They have, 5 guys who will drop 10 plus on you.
Exactly.
And actually getting to Xavier, what they did yesterday was probably the most impressive offensive outburst I've seen this year.
Oh, yeah.
And we're the team that scored 144 points, I'm saying that.
Yeah. I mean, that was absurd.
Also Friday, who else played Friday? Gotta let it load here. Oh, yeah. Providence beat Arizona.
They did beat Arizona at 11:30 at night Eastern.
Yeah, and that game will be remembered for Chris Dunn just taking over.
Yeah, he took that dang game over. I mean, that was as impressive of a game-ending performance as you're going to find this season, probably.
Finished with 19 points and 8 assists. And yeah, they didn't have Caleb Kaczewski, and he is their best player.
Yeah.
But, that's not how we do things.
Exactly. And as it stands right now, Providence outclassed them, and that's just what it was. I mean, as I mentioned on the official Twitter account, Oregon's probably the best team in the Pac-12 right now, and I don't think it's particularly close.
Yeah.
So Arizona's got some work to do, but Providence, they showed out pretty well. I mean, they've been having these performances where they just have 3 or 4 guys, Dunn, Bentil, Fazekas, and Rodney Bullock, just getting into double figures and doing their job, with a couple other guys complimenting them, and Friars are just doing what they're doing. They're doing it well.
All right, so apparently it was a glitch and Wichita isn't ranked.
Oh, well, thank goodness.
Let's see. Who do they have at 20 now?
Thank goodness.
Well, they still have Wichita at 20, and I don't, this is going to be interesting.
Okay.
We're just going to have to wait and see.
Yep. Should be interesting.
Yeah, Friday also Xavier knocked off USC.
That was a thrashing.
Killed them in the first half.
Yeah. I mean, that was another.
I mean, they let them back into it in the second half, I guess, technically. But, they beat them down.
Exactly.
Destroyed him on the boards. That'll happen.
Yep. That's just what they're doing. So, not much you can really say about them that we've already.
And again, I mean, they would have done this to Wichita too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, they would have done this to anybody who they face. So.
Also, what was that? Friday, Bill Murray was in the building because his son is actually an assistant on Chris Mack's staff.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Precisely.
Bill Murray lives in Florida, I believe.
I think he does. Too.
Well, because he's got the restaurant in St. Augustine, so I know he. Yeah. Let's see here. Saturday.
Saturday was pretty light from what I remember as well. No, actually, it wasn't light. There were 4 or 5 games going on. Georgetown.
Saturday, we got back to actual home games.
Yeah, Georgetown was back in DC. They did what they needed to do in taking care of Bryant.
Yeah,
They won 30. The game was pretty well in hand after the second half. After the end of the first half, Georgetown, I believe, went up 40-26 at that point. Never really looked back after letting Bryant hang around for the first few segments of that first half. LJ Peak had 20 points. Marcus Derrickson had his first career double-double. The freshman looked all right. Bradley Hayes had another solid performance as he continues his breakout.
Yep.
I mean, Georgetown only played one game. Sort of a tough read, obviously, because they only played one game this week, as did Butler, who we'll talk about shortly after this. But as we keep mentioning, they're probably one of the better under 500 teams in the country. But as time progresses, the margin for error, gets lower.
Yep.
And they cannot really afford any slip-ups. They face Maryland Eastern Shore tomorrow night. So we'll see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also have the big matchup with Syracuse this weekend. Syracuse, who suddenly looks really, really good.
Yep. All right, then Butler, like you said, really not a very good first half. They went into the break against SIU Edwardsville, leading 39-38. And then, according to Greg Doyle, Chris Holtman punched a wall or something at the half, which I could see. I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that as well.
And then Butler came out and took care of business. Second half, Kellen Dunham tied a career high with 32. Roosevelt Jones had 11 points, 11 assists. Tyler Lewis remembered how to score. He had 12 points after a couple rough games in Puerto Rico. All Butler starters had double figures, as they do.
Precisely.
Yeah, so that was that. Butler plays Cincy next week in a game that we're going to talk about in a couple minutes.
Yep.
And then also on Saturday, what else happened Saturday? Seton Hall played Georgia. We talked about that already earlier.
Yep.
And then Creighton was back in Omaha, took care of business against Western Illinois. Kyrie Thomas looked good.
They did.
Grosel looked good.
Yep, the Leathernecks just couldn't really compete with Jays in Omaha, which no shame in that because it's tough to win there. So
It is. So I think of the 5-1 teams, is Creighton and Seton Hall. Who do you think is the biggest surprise so far?
Seton Hall.
Yeah.
I mean, we although we thought that maybe Creighton had a chance to win the game against Indiana, we kind of expected them at this point to have one loss given their competition so far. I think Seton Hall at 5-1 with their 2-1 performance in Charleston, coinciding with how they've looked elsewhere.
Yep.
They've been very, very good. And I expected a little bit of a transition. I just didn't think it would happen this quickly.
Yeah.
They're playing really, really good basketball right now.
Okay. Yeah. And then yesterday we talked about Marquette and Jackson State. We talked about Xavier a little bit, but we can just touch on that again. Did 8 guys with at least 8 points.
Yeah.
So that's something. They also got to empty the bench yesterday.
They did. They got to use pretty much everybody.
Tim Steinberg got in.
Yep. You got some burn.
This game really got capped off by the 21-0 run that Xavier went on to open the second half. Well, not to open it, but near the beginning of the second half. Came close to Villanova's record for longest run in the conference this year.
Yep, which was 24.
22.
So 24. They got 24 against, the hell was it? The opponent they played after Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
Because they won up themselves.
Yep, okay.
I believe that was Akron. No, I think it was East Tennessee State.
Yeah, okay.
East Tennessee State.
Yeah, but Xavier, another game that wasn't very close. I mean, it was an 8-point game at the half, but it wasn't ever close.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you could tell that Dayton really could not keep up with the Musketeers at all.
And then on the flip side, the last game of the night last night ended at 77-64.
It did, but that was not indicative of how Providence looked against Michigan State.
No, Providence played a great game. Chris Dunn got into some foul trouble.
So did everybody else. I mean,
and Providence was on a run at the beginning of the second half, and Denzel Valentine was out. Michigan State couldn't hit a shot, and Providence only opened up to like a 5-point lead. And
yep.
If you have a team like Duke, which we saw Georgetown do, get beat by a run late, or Michigan State, you got to put them away when you have a chance. Because if you don't, they're going to come back and kill you.
Yep.
Honestly, Denzel Valentine wasn't that good.
No, he looked a little sluggish.
He reminded me a lot of Melo Trimble against Georgetown, where he didn't look that good, but still filled up the score sheet.
Yeah.
Because he did. Still a great weekend for Providence.
Oh, yeah, no question. No question.
What kind of hurt them is Michigan State played 11 guys. Providence played 7.
Yeah. So they're not really that deep right now, but
no, but they'll get there. Again, it's good. It's good building experience. Chris Paul, Magic Johnson were in the house. Both gave Chris Dunn some love.
They did. Always good to get recognition from guys like Magic and P3.
Yeah, and that game was played at the Honda Center. It wasn't exactly full, so it was kind of like a Ducks game.
Yeah. Oh, Ducks.
The second best game played at the Providence Center the Honda Center over the weekend.
Yep.
All right, let's glance over next week real quick. We're going long here.
Yes. Let's see. So we've got quite a few games coming this week. 3 off days, including today.
Yeah, this is weird. This is our first off day of the year.
Yeah, we have this day that'll be off, and then we'll have Thursday and Friday. But we've got 2 games tomorrow, and then 7 games on Wednesday, and 8 games on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're not talking about every game. At least not in depth. I mean, you're not going to get me to talk about Georgetown against the Brown Bears.
Your Brown Bears did not beat, and I should say, Maryland Eastern Shore did not beat Mizzou, Rob.
No, they did not. It was close at the half, but Villanova plays fellow Philadelphian school, St. Joe's, tomorrow. Should be a fun game. Those are always fun.
At St. Joe's as well, starting their Big 5 series, so that'll be fun. That game will be on the CBS Sports Network.
Villanova hasn't played a road game this year.
They have not. This will be their first true road game of the season. Will be interesting to see how they fare.
Where is the Hagen Arena?
Hagen Arena.
I'm gonna act like I know all sorts of Philadelphia geography now, since I was there for one day.
Hagen Arena is in.
I have no clue where that is.
St. Joe's. That's near Marion Station.
It's not by all the other stadiums.
No, definitely not.
And it's not near downtown.
No, it's kind of like northwest Philadelphia. So.
Okay, sure. So Villanova is favored by Ken Pom in that game, I believe, by a decent margin.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly so. They'll probably be favored by Vegas as well.
Let's see. Ken Pom has them by 9 with an 80% chance of winning.
That's fair.
Yep. Georgetown against Eastern Shore. Georgetown should win that game.
They should, yes.
Wednesday. We got a couple big games.
A lot of games on the docket on Wednesday.
Butler-Cincy will be fun.
Butler-Cincy will be very fun.
In Ohio. Which neither of the Cincinnati teams have lost a game this year since we went to their stadiums.
Yep, and we'll see if that streak continues on Wednesday.
I mean, I don't want to root against the Big East, but I really want an undefeated crosstown shootout.
I really do, too. That would be fun. Because at that point, it'll probably be it could be two top 10 teams.
Oh, yeah. And, that's what college basketball is all about.
Yep.
And then also a large game tomorrow that we talked about earlier, Seton Hall, George Washington.
Yes. We'll definitely see where the Pirates are as they travel to face the Colonials. Colonials have already knocked down the Virginia Cavaliers at their own building. So we'll see if Seton Hall can stand up to the task. I know they're not they're underdogs in that matchup by a good margin.
Yeah, well, George Washington didn't have to deal with Pirates when he crossed the Delaware, so.
That's a very good point.
Providence plays Hartford after coming back from Anaheim.
Yep. Not their toughest in-state matchup of the week, but
I guess you could worry about jet lag a little bit or something, maybe, but they should.
Yeah, you could. There's always room for possibly a little bit of a drop-off, so hopefully for their sake, they don't fall into a trap.
You mentioned that St. John's goes to Fordham, home of Vin Scully.
Correct. They play the Rams this week in the Bronx, which will be fun.
Yep. Also home of Michael Kay, I believe.
I believe that's correct as well. I know.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Michael Kay shows up at that game.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. I know Kenny Ducey also is a Sports Illustrated good Twitter follow right there. Is Fordham grad.
DePaul plays UIC at the UIC Pavilion where they used to host WCW events. Also, closer to DePaul's campus than the Rosemont Horizon.
Yeah, so that's a thing.
Also, they almost lost to UIC last year. So, a lot of storylines there for you.
Yeah.
Marquette plays Grambling State. I'm not even gonna talk about that one.
Nope.
And Arizona State plays Creighton in Omaha. So, I would assume the Blue Jays are favored there.
Yeah, that should be a game that the Blue Jays should win. Arizona State has looked quite a little bit skittish this year.
Didn't Arizona State take a terrible loss to start the year? They did.
Yeah, Sacramento State at home.
Yes. But they did play Marquette well. That was a neutral site, though. I mean, that's rough. Arizona State goes at Creighton versus Texas A&M at Kentucky.
No rest for the weary for them, that's for sure.
No, that's rough. And then Thursday, we're off again.
Yep, and then Friday we're off, and then Saturday.
We really have back-to-back off days?
Yeah.
Just going to hang a gone fishing sign on the website. No, we don't shut the website down.
Nope. And Saturday is a very, very big day for all sports, really. If you're looking for a lot of entertainment, and you want to watch sports all day, Saturday's your day because you've got college football conference championship games.
Yep.
The Big 12 regular season. And you've got some college basketball, some exciting college basketball as well.
Wait, what time is the Big Ten championship?
Oh, you didn't hear that the Big Ten championship is on at the same time as the ACC championship, as it always is every single freaking year?
No, I didn't really care about that. I just, Butler's playing a home game, so, Indy might be a little...
It's on in prime time,
okay.
Like always.
Okay, so you don't got to worry about traffic if you're going to the Butler game?
No, but it's still silly, in my opinion.
Not that Hank was anywhere near the Luke, but...
No, but it's still silly.
Butler plays Indiana State. Nice little in-state rivalry.
Yep.
Larry Bird does not go to Indiana State anymore.
No, he does not.
Another in-state rivalry between Seton Hall and Rutgers. You going to that?
Please.
You should. You're right down the street from Piscataway.
God. Yeah, I know I am.
But then you'd miss Syracuse, Georgetown.
Yeah, and I don't
want that.
No.
Syracuse, Georgetown. Yeah, I like Syracuse. I don't actually like Syracuse, but I like Syracuse because they are not afraid to play Big East teams. They're not mad that they left.
They mentioned the other day that they probably want to play UConn in the future. Please make that happen. Even not in the Big East anymore. Please, just do it.
No, but they already play St. John's this year. They play Georgetown. So
Yep.
that's good. That's good.
Start up a series with Villanova too. Why not?
Not a lot of schools would do that.
Nope.
So that's gonna be a good game. We got a lot coming on that.
Oh yeah, yeah. This week, if you're into Syracuse Georgetown coverage, we're gonna dish some out for you. Don't worry.
Creighton is going to Loyola Chicago, which is a game we talked about in the preseason. One of those weird things that happens.
Yeah, that's gonna be a very interesting environment in the Gentile Center.
DePaul plays Chicago State. Marquette plays Maine. And then we got another in-state rivalry. Providence, Rhode Island, not as good as it could have been at the beginning of the year.
Correct. But we'll see a very competitive game at the Ryan Center.
Yep.
Over in Kingston.
And we got a might as well should be in-state rivalry in Western Kentucky and Xavier.
Yep, that'll be, and like you said, it's not really going to take too much time to ponder non-conference home games for Xavier.
Is Western Kentucky bringing the red thing?
Hopefully.
And will Xavier have the blob?
Hopefully, because that would be great.
It's a big day for mascots that are just colored shapes. You know, Syracuse.
Yes.
Is he actually an orange, like the fruit, or is he just an orange like basketball?
No, he's an orange, as in the fruit. He is a walking piece of fruit. Out of news on Saturday, Arizona plays Gonzaga, which will be a very fun matchup, even though Arizona's a little depleted right now.
Yeah, we're not going to get into the whole out of the Big East thing, because then we got to go through the whole ACC Big Ten challenge.
Well, yeah, it's a big week for college hoops, and they've got their platform since college football ain't going on anymore, so let them live.
Yeah. And then Sunday, we have St. John's playing at the Garden for the first time this year.
Yep.
Why is that game tipping off at 10 a.m. Central?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, it's the MSG Holiday Festival, but why would you... Who's going to be watching at 11 a.m. on a Monday? Or a Sunday?
I don't know, but KenPom needs to change the time there because it says 11 p.m., so that's fun.
I mean, unless this is wrong, but I don't...
No, I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong.
Let's check St. John's official site here.
Gracious.
Men's basketball. Let's see. Schedules. Basketball.
No, that game is on at 11 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, rather.
That's rough.
That is going to be a very ugly game.
You going to that?
No.
I feel like
I am not.
I feel like I should ask. You're right there.
I am right there. Yes, I did, but it costs a lot of money to go across the Hudson. So
I know we talked about that.
We have talked about that before. It's really annoying.
I think we have questions. Not a good time to remember that, but
I think there's like one or two. I think I know someone asked how many teams we think we're going to make the tournament. 4 to 6. Standard answer.
It changes weekly.
It really does. Best case scenario, they get 7. Who knows?
I mean, Villanova, Butler, Georgetown, and Xavier are still locked in. I don't care. Georgetown's locked in. Yeah. And then Marquette's look good. Seton Hall's look good. Creighton's look good. Pick 2 of those, maybe. 1 or 2.
Precisely.
I think everyone except for St. John's and DePaul is in play at the moment.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't find myself disagreeing with that.
And then we have another question I know about. Chris Mullen is the best at wearing shorts while coaching. I don't know why more coaches don't do that. You don't have to wear a suit.
Yeah, you really don't.
Jay Wright wears a suit because it's kind of his thing. But, I mean, get comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm wearing shorts right now. So,
Why not?
A lot more movement in shorts, too. You got that going for you?
Exactly.
We might be about done here.
Yeah, I think we're about done. A lot got off the plate today. Talked for about an hour or so that's always good.
Next week is going to be fun, if only because next Monday is Villanova, Oklahoma.
Yeah, in Pearl Harbor. At Pearl Harbor, I should say.
Yeah, on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. So that's actually pretty cool. I guess that's
Yeah.
why they did it like that.
Mm-hmm. Precisely.
And Georgetown plays the Brown Bears.
They do. They do.
Okay. Are we done here?
Yep. I believe that does it for us.
Oh, we didn't talk about your article. If you want to gloss over that real quick, or people can just read it.
I guess we kind of discussed it at length. December's looming. The Big East looks pretty darn good. So that's a great thing. We'll see if, because I'm sure it'll, as I said, there'll be peaks, there'll be valleys.
Yeah.
But perhaps that anticipated success in March is on the horizon. And, at this rate, they're doing what they need to do. December has a lot of opportunities for them to look good against some of the big boys of college basketball. And for the conference's sake, best teams will take care of business.
Yep. All right.
That will about do it for us then.
Yeah, we'll be back next Monday. A lot going on. Be sure to check the site regularly, even though we got a couple off days this week.
We'll still be dishing out some content for you, so just be on alert.
Yep. All right. So that'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah, take us out.
Yep. For Rob, I'm Chris. We'll see you around next week. Thanks for watching.